All right, so let us discuss a nice concept in real analysis of the completeness property of the field of real numbers. Okay, so before going to state the completeness property, let me define something called suprema and infima. In fact, supremum and infimum of subsets of real numbers. Okay. So let me define definition. A subset S of R, maybe written this way, a subset S of R is said to be bounded above if there exists a real number, say you may call U, such that S less than or equal to U for all S belongs to capital S. Okay. So U is a number U is called an upper, S is said to be bounded above if there exists a real number such that every element in S is smaller than or equal to some real number U. Okay. So this is a definition of bounded above set. This means there's at least one real number such that every element in S is smaller than or equal to a particular real number. So that's the case. And if this is the case, any such number U is called, or let us define, is called an upper bound of S. So any real number U such that S less than or equal to U for every S in S is called an upper bound of S. Maybe നമുക്ക് വേണമെങ്കിൽ ഒരു വാക്ക് പറയാം, ബൗണ്ടിന് നമ്മൾ പരിധി എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ബൗണ്ടറി നമുക്കറിയാം, പരിധി എന്ന വാക്ക് അത് തന്നെയാണ് ഇവിടെ വരുന്നത്. ബൗണ്ട് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ അപ്പർ ബൗണ്ട് മീൻസ് ഒരു ഉയർന്ന പരിധി, അവിടെ വരെ പരമാവധി പോയാൽ എന്താണ് എവറി എലമെന്റ് ഓഫ് എസ് ഇസ് അറ്റ്മോസ്റ്റ് up to U. That's the meaning of upper bound. So a number U is called an upper bound of S if every element of S is less than or equal to U. So I can define my upper bound explicitly. A real number U is called an upper bound of S at S if S less than or equal to U for every S belongs to S. Or maybe in Malayalam we may say use an uyarna paridhi. And I have underlined the word an also. An upper bound. Why? If U is an upper bound, which means every element of S is smaller than or equal to U. And if I say you take some V such that U less than V, to take any number V which is greater than U, since U is an upper bound, every S is less than or equal to U. So what I have is S less than or equal to U for every S and U is less than V. So what I am getting is S less than or equal to V for all S in S, which means if U is an upper bound of capital S, then for any V which is bigger than, or any real number bigger than U is also an upper bound of S. So upper bound is not unique. Once you have an upper bound, any number bigger than the particular upper bound is going to be another upper bound. So that's why I am saying instead of the upper bound, an upper bound. That means upper bounds are not unique if it exists. If it is not existing, we cannot speak about the or a or anything. So this is the definition of upper bound. So now let us take the definition of upper bound explicitly. Then I can define bounded aboveness property in terms of upper bound. Simply with what means yes, it is said to be bounded above if it has an upper bound. If it has an upper bound, then I can say S is bounded above. For example, if you take your S is equal to heights of all people in your class. Your S is nothing but heights of all the students in third DC mathematics, then you can say the maximum height maybe is going to be from 193 or 195 centimeters, or at most it may be 190 centimeters. So you can say 200 is an upper bound of yes, whereas is set of all heights in students of mathematics class. So in that way, you can think of any class, any set, and its upper bound and whether the set is bounded above or not. So in a similar fashion, I can define bounded below. Okay, a subset S of real numbers is said to be bounded below if there exists a real number. Say I may say some W. There exists a real number W such that W less than or equal to S for all S belongs to S. So which means yes, it is bounded below means every element of S is bigger than or equal to, every element of capital S is bigger than or equal to some particular number W. Okay, that's the definition of bounded below. And any if S is bounded below, any number W satisfying this inequality is called a lower bound. Instead of this, I can change upper bounds lower. So that is a definition of lower bound. So it has be a set. A number W is called a lower bound of S if W less than or equal to S for every S belongs to S. And I can use this definition of lower bound to define my bounded below set. S is said to be bounded below if it has a lower bound. So lower bound means every element of the set is bigger than or equal to that particular person. Again, for example, take for example, if you take a set of all heights of people in your third DC mathematics, then they may take 100 centimeter. That is going to be the Tazhna Paridi. That's a lower bound. Maybe that may not be the smallest, that may not be the largest upper bound. And similarly, I had told you 200. 200 is obviously an upper bound. That may not be the smallest upper bound. We will be coming to that. Okay. And a subset S of R is said to be bounded. This is very important for us. A subset S of R is said to be bounded if it is bounded above and bounded below. So that's the definition of bounded set. It is said to be bounded if it is bounded above, which means it has an upper bound, and it is bounded below, which means it has at least one lower bound. So a set is called bounded if it is bounded above and bounded below, and if a set is not bounded, it is called unbounded. Okay, if it is not bounded above, or if it is not bounded below, or if not bounded below as well as bounded below, then again in all the situations we say your set is unbounded. Okay, all right. So let us define what is called suprema and infima. I told you if a set is bounded above, then it has an upper bound, and any number bigger than or equal to that upper bound is going to be an upper bound. Okay, in a similar fashion, if your set is bounded below, that means it has a lower bound, and any number lower than that, any smaller number than, say for example, your W is going to be a lower bound. Which means once there is an upper bound, there is a set of infinitely many upper bounds, and once there is a lower bound, there is a set of infinitely many lower bounds. So you can think of a smallest upper bound as well as a largest lower bound. In fact, my suprema and infima are nothing but my least upper bound or smallest upper bound. Valudayavalle. Upper bound means for എല്ലാവരെക്കാളും വലുതായ ഒരു നമ്പറിനെയാണ് നമ്മൾ upper bound എന്ന് വിളിക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ വലുതായവരിലെ ചെറുതിനെ I will call it as supremum, and what is my ലോവർ ബൗണ്ട് മീൻസ് വാട്ട്? ആ സെറ്റിലുള്ള എല്ലാവരേക്കാളും ചെറുതാവുകയാണെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ചെറുതായവരിലെ ഏറ്റവും വലുതിനാണ് I will be calling as infimum, or simply my least upper bound is going to be supremum and my greatest lower bound is going to be supremum. So we'll have the technical definition. I will define it again and again. So okay, let S be a subset of R. If S is bounded above, if S is bounded above, that means it has at least one upper bound. That's the meaning of bounded above. It has at least one upper bound, and we have seen that once it is bounded above, it has at least one upper bound, and any number bigger than that upper bound is going to be an upper bound. So you will have infinitely many upper bounds. Okay. A number U is called a suprema or supremum. Is called a suprema or supremum. I can define. It's called a supremum. Is called a supremum. Okay, make sure a supremum. Later I will change into the supremum. So a number U is called a supremum of S if U satisfies the following. U satisfies the following. Okay. On U is an upper bound of S. What's the meaning? That is, every element of S is less than or equal to U for. So that is the meaning of upper bound. U is an upper bound of S means this happens. Every element in S is smaller than or equal to U. 2. If V is an upper bound of S, suppose V be any upper bound of S, then U less than or equal to V. Okay. So let me repeat the definition. Suppose S is the bounded above set. A number U is called a supremum. Is called a supremum of S if U satisfies the following two conditions. First one, U has to be an upper bound. And if V is any upper bound, V is an upper bound of S, then U is less than or equal to V. Okay. So if you have a minimum mathematical logic, this altogether says what U is going to be the smallest upper bound. U is an upper bound, and if V is any another upper bound, then V should be bigger than or equal to U. That indirectly says what, or directly says U is nothing but the smallest among all the upper bounds. So supremum is nothing but, okay, maybe supremum or the least upper bound. Upper boundകളിലെ ഏറ്റവും ചെറിയ ആള്, ഉയർന്ന പരിധികളിലെ ഉയർന്നവരിലെ ഏറ്റവും ചെറിയതെന്നാണ് നമുക്ക് വേണമെങ്കിൽ സുപ്രീമത്തെ കുറിച്ച് മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ പറ്റുന്ന കാര്യമാണ്. ഈ നമ്പർ യൂസ് കോൾഡ് supremum if it is upper bound, if it is an upper bound, as well as it is the smallest among all the upper bounds. In a similar fashion, if you understand this, I can go for what is called my infimum. Let me change on this itself. So suppose this is a bounded below subset of real numbers. That means S has at least one lower bound, and once there is a lower bound, any number lower than the lower bound is going to be lower bound. So once you have a lower bound, there will be infinitely many lower bounds, and you can think of, do there exist a largest or greatest among the set of all lower bounds. So this is a bounded below set. A number, say maybe W is called an infimum, is called an infimum, or maybe the another name is the greatest. Maybe I will abbreviating my lower bound as LB, and I frequently I will be using UB for my upper bound and LB for my lower bound. That is again standard. Okay, so number W is called an infimum or the greatest lower bound of S if W satisfies the following. First one, W is a lower bound of S, that is W less than or equal to S for every S belongs to W, and if there is some if T is a lower bound, just change everything. If T is a lower bound of S, then T less than or equal to W. Okay, let me repeat. A number W is called an infimum of S if W is a lower bound of S, as well as if T is any lower bound, then T less than or equal to W. That means W is the greatest, W is the largest among the lower bounds. Okay, so this is the definition of infimum and supremum. You read and write 2-3 times, you will get the idea. So we will be doing some good examples. And what my completeness property of real numbers is. If a set is bounded above, then there is no doubt it will have a supremum. There exists a supremum, and if a set is bounded below, it will have a infimum. And if a set is bounded, then obviously it will have a supremum as well as infimum. That is my completeness property of real numbers. We will be taking it as granted, and that fact will help us to prove plenty of theorems. Now we will see some examples of bounded above sets, upper bounds, lower bounds, and eventually supremum and infimum, and we will develop an alternative definition for infimum as well as supremum. Let me end the things with let me give the nutshell of what we have discussed. So we have the definition of upper bound and bounded above sets. We have the definition of lower bounds and bounded below sets, and we have the definition of bounded sets. So let me define one more time what is meant by the supremum. Supremum. So suppose a subset of R is bounded above, then a number U is said to be, or is called said to be a supremum, is called a supremum or least upper bound if on U is a upper bound, U is an upper bound, and if V is an upper bound of S, then U less than or equal to V. So keep definition in your mind. Okay, this is the definition of supremum. In a similar fashion, you can define what is called infimum. So U is an upper bound, which means indirectly this means S less than or equal to U for all S belongs to S, and if V is any upper bound, then U less than or equal to V. Simply supremum is nothing but the least upper bound. വലുതായവരിലെ ഏറ്റവും ചെറുതിനെയാണ് നമ്മൾ സുപ്രീമം എന്ന് വിളിക്കുന്നത്. ഇൻഫിമം ഈസ് നത്തിങ് ബട്ട് ചെറുതായവരിലെ ഏറ്റവും വലുതിനെ, ചെറുതുകളിലെ വലുതിനെ ഇൻഫിമം എന്നും വലുതുകളിലെ ചെറുതിനെ supremum എന്നും വിളിക്കും. And my completeness property says as it is bounded above, it has a supremum. As it is bounded below, it has a infimum. And if it is bounded, it will have a supremum as well as an infimum. We will be doing some examples. And what I can prove next, if the supremum exists, it is going to be unique. Similarly, If the infimum exists, it is going to be unique, so I can change a supremum by the supremum. Okay, so we'll be some examples in the next